Namaskar. Today we'll discuss the specific immune response which produces acquired immunity. Acquired immunity. So we know that immunity is the defense mechanism uh, developed by an individual organism against any invading agent or pathogen. And there are three layers of immunity and two types of immunity: innate immunity and acquired immunity. And innate immunity can occur at the individual level or at species level or racial level, and acquired immunity can be either naturally acquired or artificially acquired, or can be active or passive. So active immunity can be either naturally acquired or artificially acquired. Passive immunity similarly can be either naturally acquired or artificially acquired. And there are three lines of defense. Uh, the first line is the physical or surface barrier, including skin, mucous membrane, and body fluids. The second line is the non-specific response, including vascular events and cellular events. These together provide us the natural or innate immunity. Then, when this innate immunity is not sufficient, we develop the acquired immunity through specific response. And the non-specific response, the vascular events involve the four proteolytic enzyme cascades containing the exudate. Because of the vasodilatation and increased vascular permeability, there is accumulation of fluid exudate which contains these four proteolytic enzyme cascade. The main one is the complement system, and the other three support the complement system and eliminate the bacteria, which already we have discussed in our earlier classes. Then the cellular events, the blood cells like platelets, granulocytes, monocytes, and the other tissue cells like vascular endothelial cells, neurons, mast cells, tissue macrophages, natural killer cells, dendritic cells, all they together provide us the non-specific response. And when the non-specific response is sufficient, we develop specific immune response. And for a specific immune response, the infected cell acts as an antigen presenting cell, and suppose the virus infected cell or the cancer cell or sometimes the macrophages, the dendritic cells, they act as the antigen presenting cell. And that means the antigen, when comes in contact with the cell, the antigen is engulfed and processed, and the cell expresses on its surface a protein called major histocompatibility complex, which has this antigen on it. And major histocompatibility complex is of two types, MHC1 and MHC2. Based on this, the type of MHC, the T lymphocytes recognize MHC1 or MHC2. T lymphocytes on its surface have CD receptors, that is cluster of differentiation CD receptors, and there are two types of CD, CD4 and CD8. And CD4 recognizes MHC2, whereas CD8 recognizes MHC1. When there will be some immune reaction, MHC2 CD4 interaction will be there, and when the cell has to be eliminated, the cell has to be destroyed, the cell has to be killed, then there will be MHC1 and CD8 interaction. So depending on the MHC expressed on the antigen presenting cell, the T lymphocyte with specific CD will come in contact and will interact, and there will be the specific immune response. So MHC1 is expressed in case of virus infected cells, malignant cells, all nucleated cells except RBC. Whereas MHC2 is expressed in case of B cells, B lymphocytes, macrophages, dendritic cells. So macrophages are nothing but the monocytes, and dendritic cells, they are named so because they look like dendron of neuron, and these are also again differentiated forms of the monocytes. We can see here the monoblast is differentiated into monocyte, which is differentiated into macrophages and dendritic cells. So all these cells act as antigen presenting cell. So there can be two types of interaction, MHC2 and CD4 T lymphocyte, or MHC1 and CD8 T lymphocyte. So when there is MHC2 and TCD4 interaction, there is autocrine action of interleukin 2. That means these T lymphocytes will release interleukin 2, which will act again on the same T lymphocytes on interleukin 2 receptors. So these CD4 T lymphocytes are differentiated into T helper Nod cells, and T helper Nod cells by autocrine action of interleukin 4 are differentiated into T helper 2 cells, and T helper Nod cells by autocrine action of interleukin 2 are differentiated into either T helper 1 cells, or they can release other interleukins also. So T helper 2 cells by releasing interleukin 4 they differentiate B lymphocytes into either plasma B cell or memory B cell. Plasma B cell or plasma B lymphocytes secrete antibodies, and memory B cells remember the antigen, so that in future if it comes, then it can interact. So this provides the humoral immunity through antibodies. Immunity provided through antibodies is humoral immunity, and in this way humoral immunity is obtained. Then the T helper Nod cells, when they release interleukin 2 transforming growth factor beta, they form the regulatory T lymphocytes which restrain the immune reactions. Some of them release interleukin 6, interleukin 21 transforming growth factor beta, which are differentiated into T helper 17 cells. T helper 17 cells. So T helper Nod cells can be differentiated into T regulatory cells, or T helper 17 cells, or T helper 1 cells. So T helper 17 cells have a role in rheumatoid arthritis, and T helper 1 cells, so T helper Nod cells by actions of interleukin 2 forms T helper 1 cells, and T helper 1 cells again through autocrine action of interleukin 2 forms more T helper 1 cells. Some of them are converted to memory T cells, and some of them release interleukin 2, interferon gamma, tumor necrosis factor, which will activate the macrophages. So this is all about the MHC2 and CD4 T lymphocyte interaction. So these are coming under the cellular immunity. So immunity can be either humoral immunity through antibodies or through other cytokines, and when it is through cytokines, it is called cellular immunity. Then due to interaction of MHC1 and CD8 T lymphocytes, there will be release of interleukin 2, which has autocrine action on the CD8 T cells to form cytotoxic T cells, and these cytotoxic T cells will kill the virus infected cells, kill the cancer cells. So all these called cellular immunity provide us the cellular immunity, and antibodies through B lymphocytes, it provides us the humoral immunity. So this is all about specific immune response. Thank you.